Motion approved unanimously. I'd like to recognize that Commissioner Farnsworth is not with us. He will be here a little bit later on. So if you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Glanzer.
Thank you. Thank you. Please pray with me. Gracious and loving God, we give thanks for this day. We pray for the dedicated people who serve on this board and for their staff. Use their minds and their heart for the abundance you have blessed us with, Lord. You have shown Newberry favor. And so now we vow to be a city of light by your grace. In thy precious name, amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance.
One being towards the end of August. The utility director tonight there's two additional direction to keep our increases in water wastewater in line with what the Public Service Commission is publishing every year for their price index. This year they're recommending a 2.3% price index increase, and we don't think we need to do that. Staff's recommendation is for a 1% increase on water and wastewater rates. We think we're in good shape. We have plenty of load growth, so we think that we are able to balance the budget with a 1% increase. 3.5% allocation for administrative services to pay for me and for Dallas and for city attorney and things like that. And the electric fund has a 5% transfer, which we consider to be equivalent to a franchise fee. Just remind you that throughout the state, electric utilities that are owned by municipalities are averaging about 8.5%, and the average franchise fee is 6%. I'm not suggesting that we should do that. Just for a frame of reference, you are transferring less out of your electric utility than most. The things that we'll be asking the commission to consider are, our rates. Again, we're proposing no rate increase in the electric, no change in rates with electric rates. Our capital improvement projects, both expansion and renewal, and personnel. And just give you some kind of trending information to kind of show you where things are. So this is a 8-year trend on the number of electric customers. You can see we have we're on really good growth rate in terms of our customer base. Also see that correspondingly we have a really good increase. Next slide, please. In consumption. You can see that I guess we did have some valleys early on, but for the most part, our consumption are super mild summer, and that accounts for that. Electric consumption is very weather dependent. Water and wastewater use, not so much. This is a graph that shows our bulk power cost through the years. It's kind of a little bit more up and down. The kilowatt hours you saw on the last slide is trending up. So when you see our costs kind of being so cyclic, that just has to do with the rate, and it all has to do with the cost of fuel. So over the last 10 years, the cost for fuel has dropped maybe 25%, in large part due to the efforts of former Mayor Conrad, as chairman of the board, saying we got to do. We've seen we're in FMPA's All Requirements project, and we spend quite a bit of time talking. He's just not leading the discussion for Newberry much the way that power costs. You know that operational expenses and bulk power cost expenses, as I mentioned previously, the bulk power costs are about 75% of your total bill, and they're a straight pass-through. It is forbidden by law for the city to make a profit on that. Down those lines. And what the funding source need to do every year.
A little bit as we get
year.
Electric utility for it's a harder thing to calculate because you have to then take in growth.
Could show how we stack up to our peers, but we utilize Florida Rural Water Association. They come with these giant stethoscopes, and that's how that's
what happened in the city that put us in.
Right, you get a lot of public pressure.
Deferred capital becomes
Twin Pairs project.
Commissioner Farnsworth.
Utilities are located in the state road right-of-way. Not in the right-of-way, but they're planning. There's been no discussion of that. The city is responsible. If you'll recall,
even with these,
that also 3%, a 3% on that. Be happy to.
That look like it'd be reach for if
How many people do we have on the commercial?
A big disclosure, sensitive industry. So when I did that, I thought, man, look at, I'm sorry.
Lift station 1 is for equipment that can do all these things, but no.
The self-explanatory when you get on an account, it needs 300 gallons in a day. Call them in Kings.
There's a component of the RFP that
While they're on vacation and coming back will be.
Isn't a
Latch was proposed, Gainesville's proposed.
Any questions from the public?
As the policy identifies,
the spray is high.
Is the handed
Function.
And things like that.
Further thought?
We were in a water crisis in our district. We were looking at spend a lot of time.
We've broken up our budget into categories. Really need to be those final budget. And direct that takes is the initiative of a commissioner reaching for the mic and saying,